Our Federal Highway Administration Bridge Inspector's Manual, Section 3, Fundamentals Bridge Inspection Safety Practice, keys concern of bridge inspection safety responsibility, personal protection, proper inspection, tire inspection, safety equipment, hard hat, reflective safety vest, safety goggles, gloves, life jacket, mask, respirator, safety harness, and lanyard, boats, cause of accident, general cause, specific causes, special safety precautions, general climbing safety, organization, inspection ladders, scaffold and timer planks, inspection vehicles, catwalks, travelers, rigging, mental attitude, confined space, precautions, safety concerns, safety procedure, culverts, inadequate ventilation, drowning, toxic chemicals, animal, quicksand conditions at the outlet and at an outlet. Alright, 321 concern the key concerns in the bridge inspection. When completing the inspection in a timely, efficient manner, it is important also the major concern within the field of the bridge inspection and here the dangers therefore require a continual watchfulness on part of each member of the inspection team. Attitude, alertness, common sense are three important factors to maintain safety to reduce possibility of accidents. Bridge inspectors need to be concerned about safety. 5 key motivations of bridge inspector safety. Injury and pain accidents caused by the pain and suffering event, even death causes injury. Careless inspectors can serve injury or even kill some themselves or others. The inspection team resulting pain and discomfort can hamper an inspector's the rest of their life. Family hardship. A worker's family also suffer the hardship when an accident occurs, not only the loss of the income, but there also the inability to participate in family activities. In this case, major disability burden care of the injured person falls on the family members. Equipment damage. The repair and replacement damage equipment can be very costly. This also costs associated with the loss of time while equipment is not available for use. Lost production. Employers lost revenues associated with the employee's work. Also, lost time, money spent in safety training equipment. Visual inspectors must be trained to replace the injured worker. Medical expenses. Whether coverage of employee benefit the personal interest out of pocket, someone has to pay the medical expenses. Ultimately, the tax-paying public pays the bill of her actions through higher insurance premiums. Inspectors should consistently be aware of safety concerns, spending the effort to be safe, pay big dividends, avoid expensive grief. 322 Safety Responsibilities. Employers responsible for providing a safe work environment, including clear safety regulations, guidelines, safety training, proper tools, and equipment. The supervisor responsible to maintain safety work environmental conditions, supervision, establishing job procedure guidance, and application of safety procedures, guidance and proper use of equipment, enforcement of safety regulations. Bridge inspectors are ultimately responsible for their own safety. The bridge inspector's responsibility include recognition of physical limitations. Inspectors must be able to recognize limitations, convey the limitations onto his fellow inspector. Knowledge of the rules, requirements of the job, and the inspector should verify that they understand particular tasks he is qualified to perform. Tasks of the procedure appear to be unsafe. The inspector should question it constructively to try to develop a better way. Safety of fellow workers. Do not act the manner and will endanger the fellow inspectors who can work, and if they are doing something unsafe, reporting an accident, and if the accident essentially report the designated individual of your agency and company within the prescribed time frame, usually 24 hours. An injury must be promptly reported in order to assure coverage if necessary under workmen's compensation and other insurances. Alright, 323, personal protection, proper inspection, attire. It is important to dress properly for the job. Vital clothes should be properly sized for an individual. They should be appropriate for the climate for general inspection activities. Inspectors should wear leather boots with traction lug soles for climbing and bridge components. But the inspector should wear boots with a steel shank with no slip soles with heavy lugs, as well as leather gloves. Wearing tool pouch enables the inspector to carry tools, notes, and with his hands free for climbing and other inspection activities. Alright, inspection security equipment. The safety equipment is designed to prevent injury. However, the inspector must have the equipment concurrently within in order to provide protection. The following are some of the common pieces of safety equipment. Your hard hat can prevent serious head injuries in two ways. First, it provides a protection against falling objects on the bridge site. Environmental during inspection activities prone to falling objects may concern are deteriorated portion of bridge components dislodging during inspection, equipment dropped by the co-workers overhead, debris discarded by passing motorists. Secondary, hard hat protect the inspector's head from accidental impact with the bridge component, but the inspection involved with the climbing accident for the equipment. The inspector frequently dodging various configurations, substructure, elements, superstructure, elements can be sharp, edged, and always under yielding. If the inspector makes a mistaken judgment during a maneuver impacts the structure, a hard hat may prevent serious injury. During the inspection, inspectors should know when protection will be needed. Therefore, a hard hat should be worn at all times. Also, if the inspector will be free climbing, it's good practice to wear a chin strap with a hard hat. A reflective safety vest. Performing activity near traffic, the inspector required to wear a safety vest. The vest should conform with the OSHA standards. The combination of the bright color reflective makes the inspector more visible to passing motorists. Safety is improved when the motorist is aware of the inspector's presence. Safety goggles. Eye protection necessary for the inspector exposed with flying particle glass. Shatterproof lenses are not adequate. Side protection is provided. Also important to note that only single lens glasses should be worn when climbing about. No bifocals. Eye protection should be worn during activities such as using a hammer, scraper, wire brush, grinding, shot, sandblasting, cutting, welding. During welding activity, protection appropriate lenses specifically designed for welding should be used. Alright, your gloves. Although one may immediately think of gloves as a piece of safety equipment that they can prove that it is an important safety feature, wearing gloves will protect the inspector's hands from harmful effects of deteriorated members, and many of the inspection structural members have deteriorated to the point where the edges of the members have become razor sharp. The edges can cause severe cuts and lacerations. Inspectors handle that may become ineffective. A life jacket should always be worn when working over water or in a boat, and an accident occur with a good swimmer may drown if burdened with the inspection equipment is knocked and unconscious injured due to the fall. Life jacket will keep the inspector afloat. A life jacket should also be worn when wearing hip and chest waders. If the inspector should step in an area that's too deep, their waders can fill with water and drag them under, making swimming impossible. A dust mask and respirator. Respirator dust mask can protect the inspector from harmful airborne contaminant pollutants. Against the OSHA regulations should be consulted for approved type and appropriate uses. Conditions requiring respirator include sandblasting, painting, exposure for the dust and pigeon droppings. Exposure to pigeon droppings may result in the hypoplanosius, potential serious illness, work closed in restricted areas. Your safety harness and your lanyard. The safety harness, lanyard, inspector lifeline is an event of a fall. You the equipment required for the condition. Make sure the safety agency OSHA requirement. For example, some agencies require a safety belt harness to be worn in the following situation: at heights over 20 feet, above water, above traffic. To reduce the possibility of injury, the maximum lanyard length limited to fall is 6 feet of the per OSHA regulation. For protection, can be achieved using a shock absorber between the lanyard safety harness. The shock absorber reduces G-force through the controlled extension of the nylon webbing, which is pre-folded and sewn together. 2 lanyards are required for one lanyard. Should be tied off the solid structural member or safety line rigid for the purpose of at all times. The inspector should use the second lanyard to allow safe movement around obstacles concerning the second lanyard before disconnecting the first lanyard in order to safely move along the structure. Do not tie off scaffolding support cables. One of the reasons for the tying off is limiting your fall in case of the rigging of scaffold fails. When working from a snooper or a bucket truck, tie off the structure. If possible, extreme caution must be exercised not to allow the equipment to be moved out from under someone tied to the bridge. If the machine is being moved frequently, it's best to tie off to the bucket or boom. Boats. When performing inspection over the water, it is required to have the man-made boat water at all times. In the event of an accident in which someone were to fall into the water, the boat can rescue them quickly, especially important if the individual has rendered unconscious. Additionally, it can be used to retrieve any equipment that may have been accidentally dropped by an inspector. 324. Cause of accidents. General cause. Accidents are usually occurred by human error, equipment failure, parts of the safety awareness acknowledgement. This is planning ahead to minimize the effects of these errors or failures. Accidents caused by equipment failure can often be traced to inadequate and proper maintenance. Inspection maintenance updated of the equipment can minimize failures. Accidents caused by people, usually caused by an error in judgment, thoughtlessness, and trying to take shortcuts. Specific causes of accidents include improper attitude, distraction, carelessness, worries over personnel matters, personal limitation, lack of knowledge, skill, and exceeding physical capabilities, physical impairment, previous injury, illness, side effect of medication, alcohol or drugs, boredom, falling into an inattentive state while performing repetitive routine tasks, thoughtlessness, lack of safety awareness and not recognizing hazards, shortcuts, sacrificing safety of time, faulty equipment damage, later rungs, worn rope, frayed cables, access equipment not inspected regularly, inappropriate loose-fitting clothing. Safety precautions. Safety precautions can be divided into 4 main categories: general precautions, climbing safety, confined spaces and culverts. Some general guidelines for safety inspections are as follows: Keep well rested and alerted. Work conditions encountered during an inspection are varied out and can change rapidly, requiring the inspector be fit and attentive. Maintain proper mental and physical conditions. Inspect tasks required with a multitude of motor skills to perform acceptable levels. Inspector must be physically fit and free of mental distraction. Using proper tools. Do not try to use tools equipment not suited for the job. Keeping work areas neat and uncluttered. Tools and equipment is scattered carelessly about the work area. President heads that can result in injury. Establishing systematic procedures. Establish procedures early in the month. Utilize them. Everyone that knows the expect one another. Follow safety rules and regulations. Adhere to the safety rules and regulations established by the Occupational Safety Health Administration agency or your employer. Use common sense and good judgment. Do not engage in horseplay. Do not take shortcuts and foolish chances. Avoid intoxication. Drugs. Intoxication impairs judgment, reflex, and coordination. Medication. Prescription over-the-counter medication can cause drowsiness and other unwanted potential dangerous side effects. Alright, electricity. There is a potential killer. All cables of wire should be assumed to be hot, even if they appear to be one only telephone cable. The condition encountered with them on many bridges conducted to electrical shock. These conditions include steel members, humidity, perspiration, damp clothing. Transmission lines on structures should be identified prior to inspection. All power lines should be shut down. In rural areas, electrical fences can be hazardous, should be avoided. Be aware that the fiberglass posts element that need to be distinctive porcelain insulation, which one identify electrical fences. Hard assistant. All work in pairs. Inspector should not take any of the action someone else with the help in case of an error in an accident. And may also make sure someone else knows where you are. If someone seems to be missing, locate the person immediately. Inspecting over water. A safety belt must be provided when working over water. Should be equipped with a life ring. Heavy radio communication with inspector crew. Waiters. Caution should be used with wearing waiters. Inspector fails to falls into a score hole. Waters can fill with water, making swimming impossible. Inspection over traffic. If the best avoid working over the above traffic, it cannot be avoided. Equipment such as tools and climb boards should be tied off. Entering dark areas. Use a flashlight illuminating dark areas prior to entering. The precaution against falls and snake bites, stinging insects. Homeless people. Caution should be exercised by approaching bridge where homeless people are present. Explain to them that an inspection of the bridge is taking place. The inspection team will leave the site as soon as possible. Leave the bridge site immediately if there is any illegal activities perceived or danger. Climbing safety. There are primary areas of preparation necessary for safe climbing inspection. Organization, inspection, access, equipment, and mental attitude. Organization of the inspection. Good inspection procedures incorporates climbing strategy with a minimized climbing time. For example, the beginning of the day with the inspection truss spans one bent, finishing of the next bent by the day. Lunchtime eliminates unproductive climbing across the plant span. Inspection procedures have the inspection plan so the inspection team knows where to go and what to do, what tools are needed to perform an inspection. Organized inspectors produce the change with the inspector falling and getting stuck into a position where he is unable to get down. Weather conditions are primary consideration. Organizing climbing inspection. Moderate temperature for the sunny days. Desirable rain condition warrant postponement of the steel bridge inspection, as wet steel is extremely slippery. After a rainy day, the inspector must be sure that boots are free of mud, and he must extreme caution in areas of the debris accumulation may cause slippery surface. Traffic should not be obstructed during bad weather. Inspection of the top of the concrete decks must also be avoided during just after it rains. Inspection equipment. Inspection team should be well equipped and personal attire should be checked for the suitable job clothing, proper climbing activity, the temperature of jewelry, ring bracelets, and necklaces should never be worn. Any accident jewelry can become snagged or cause additional injury. High glass one signal lens glasses should be worn. Bifocals should not be worn because split vision impairs the inspector's ability to climb safely. Inspection equipment should be checked for the proper use and condition. Ladders. Accidents involving ladders are most common type of the inspection-related accidents. In order to use ladder properly, these things are needed. Proper ladder length of the job. The 3-to-1 tilt with a block secured bottom. This is with the ladder over 25 feet, making sure of the top of the tied off. Inspection of the ladder prior to use for cracks and defective rungs and rails. Correct climbing technique for the use both hands facing the ladder. Keeping the inspector and belt buckle over the rungs. Using hand line to lift equipment or tools. Alright, scaffolding should be checked for the height and load capacity necessary to support the inspection team. Load tests could be performed on the ground with a plan and equipment and personnel. Daily inspection for the cracked, loose connection, buckled weak areas should be performed prior to use. Timber planks, single planks should never be used. Two or more planks securely together should be used. Planks ends should be securely attached to their supports. All planks should be inspected for non-splits, cracks, and deterioration prior to use. Inspection vehicles. Use platform trucks, bucket trucks, underbridge inspection vehicles may be necessary to access elements during an inspection. From that they are in safe operation conditions. Such equipment must also only be placed when placed on a firm surface of the slope, not exceeding the rated capacity of the equipment. Our catwalk and travelers' permanent inspection access devices are ideal. However, the inspector should be guarded with the misalignment and deterioration of elements such as flooring, hand-hold rods, and cables. Art rigging. The inspector should be familiar with the proper rigging techniques. Support cables should be at least 1/2 inch in diameter. The working platform on a stage should be at least 20 inches wide. Line or tie-off cables separate from the primary rigging should be reused. Use common sense when regarding to rigging. Not blindly trust the people. The rigging mistakes by the riggers can cause life-threatening accidents. If a procedure is unsafe, the doubtful question is in it and get it changed if necessary. Do not rely on ropes or planks left on the bridge by prior work. They may be rotted or not properly attached. And then it says mental attitude. Inspector must be mentally prepared to climb the inspection. Do a climbing inspection. A good safety attitude foremost important. The precautions must be addressed. They are avoid emotional distress. Do not climb when emotionally upset. The inspector who climbs must have complete control, otherwise their chance of fall increase. Awareness of surroundings. Always be aware of the dangers associated with the inspection location when climbing. Do not become so engrossed in the job as step out in the mid area. Realization and limitation. Inspector must be confident on the job and can be performed safely. If there's a feature that cannot be safely and be inspected with the equipment available, do not inspect it. Highlight the fact that in the notes so the appropriate equipment can be scheduled if necessary. Do not hide the fact that a particular bridge member was not inspected. Confined space precautions. Safety concerns. Inspection of box girder and bridges, steel box pier caps, steel arc rings, arc ties, cellular concrete structures, long culverts, others include confined space. Confined space entry regulated by the OSHA requires proper training, equipment permitting. There are four major concerns when inspecting confined spaces. Lack of oxygen content must remain above 19% for all inspectors remaining conscious. Toxic gases generally produced work processes such as painting, burning, welding, or by operating internal combustion engines. Explosive gas and natural gas, methane, gasoline vapors may be present naturally due to leaks. Lack of light may be confined space with total dark. Only inspector cannot see potential hazards such as depression, drop-off, dangerous animals. Alright, safety procedures. When confined in an area must be inspected. Safety procedures prescribed in OSHA. Additional agencies requirements must be used. The following is in the general description of basic requirements. Refer to OSHA for specifies pre-entry air test for oxygen, improved oxygen test device, test other gases such as carbon monoxide, hydrogen sulfide, methane, natural gas, combustible vapors. Mechanical ventilation. Pre-entry oxygen gas levels must be acceptable for a minimum prescribed time prior to entry. During occupancy, ventilation should be continuous regardless for the activity test of the oxygen or other gases at prescribed intervals during occupancy. Basic safety procedure. Avoid flammable gas confined areas. Position inspection vehicles away from the area entrance to avoid carbon monoxide fumes. Position gasoline-powered generators downwind of the operation. Operation provided. Reducing toxic gas should be performed downwind of the operator of the inspection team. Carrier-approved rescue, air-breathing apparatus, adequate lighting of the appropriate backup system, lifelines when entering dark areas such as box girders and culverts. Inspection should be performed in pairs and third inspection. Inspector remaining outside of the dark of the confined areas. Culverts. There are several hazards that can be encountered when performing a culvert inspection. Being aware of these situations, exercising proper precautions will be protect the inspector with the dangerous and potential life-threatening hazard. The following are some of the hazard conditions the inspector may encounter: inadequate ventilation, drowning, toxic chemicals, animals, quick conditions, insufficient number of inspectors. Alright, your inadequate ventilation culverts. Inadequate ventilation can develop a low oxygen level, the high concentration of the toxic explosive gas. The big concern with one culvert end may be blocked. Inspection is being performed on a long culvert. Air quality is suspect. The test should be made and determine the concentration of gas. The testing devices may simply be the badges worn with the inspector that change colors when present with a particular gas. Devices may also be sophisticated instruments that measure concentration of several gases. Confined spaces entry requirements should be observed when inspecting a long culvert or any culvert restricted area. Or drowning extensive stream bed score may result in the channel depression during periods in flow of the depth of the water in these holes may be significantly greater than remainder of the stream bed. This gives the inspector the impression that the wading is safe. It is advisable that the inspector use the probe rod to check the water depth, where he or she plans to walk. Storms may generate the high flow culvert very quickly. This creates a dangerous situation. Inspector, the most uncommon for culverts to carry peak flow long before a storm reaches the culvert side. Inspectors should be cautious whenever storms appear imminently. Toxic chemicals. Occasionally, stream flow may contain hazardous chemicals from any other number of the sources of fire, explosion. Serious illnesses could result from presence of such chemicals if appropriate precautions are not taken. Alright, animals. An accumulation of dirt and debris may provide a home for snakes, rodents, and other animals. This could provide a dangerous environmental for the inspector. Inspector's ability to react with a hazard may compromise with the poor lighting, limited access, inadequate room to move. Also, dead animals present in critical create health hazards. Quicksand conditions. Quicksand conditions can occur in sandy stream beds, but especially in the outlet end of the culvert. Inspectors should be aware of this and should proceed with caution in geographical areas known to have these problems. This page is intentionally left blank, and then we're moving on to the table of contents, section 3, fundamental of bridge inspections.